recording started. That way I can put this up on the internets for y'all. All right. So, on D2L or in here in class, either way you want to do it, or on the server. Does anyone not know where the server is? For if you do come in. I think everyone's pretty safe with the server. But you can also do everything that's on the server on D2L now. So on here, if we go to home, I post things in the news section on here, sometimes regularly. I do post extra credit stuff. I post internships as they become available to me to offer to y'all. So if something like that is interesting for you, make sure you're checking this pretty regularly. It doesn't happen often, but when it does, those internships do get snatched up pretty quick. That being said, all of the content for the semester is already on here, give or take one or two little experimental things I haven't put on here yet. All of our write-ups are here. All of the dates for due dates should be accurate. If something's not, I will fix it, don't you worry. But that being said, under important here, we do have our syllabus. This schedule, ignore this schedule. The schedule's old. It's old. Don't look at that. But it will give you a kind of an idea of what the semester will be like. And I will show you what the semester will look like before you guys leave for today. So don't you worry about that. A lot of people in other classes have asked me what is a good mic to get. If you guys want to buy any of your own equipment. There's a little link right there of some of the mics that I have used, some of the mics that I've seen people use, from super cheap to not too cheap. Also, if you don't want to pay for Adobe, we are working on a workaround for that so you guys can have it for free. But there is also an alternative that I use sometimes called DaVinci Resolve. It's pretty neat. It's set up a lot different, but it works really well. But let's take a look at our syllabus here. It's very standard. Hopefully everyone is here either in our room 195, yes, hello, or you are in the Ouija board, which is Zoom over there, hello. I call it the Ouija board because it sounds like I'm talking to a Ouija board. Hello, are you with me? Can you hear me? Give me a sign that you're listening, that sort of thing. So it is, you guys are the Ouija board, hello, over there. I'm Laura. Almost all of you know me except for the one. I think you're the only one I haven't taught yet. So I go by Laura, Mrs. Osteen, things like that. Just don't be like, hey, you come here now. And I'll be like, no. That being said, I have an office. It's over there. It's the tiny little adjunct office that I share with other people. If you want to talk with me, you can set up a time to meet. Just that way no one else is in there with us at the same time. Or you can pop into Zoom. I pretty much live in Zoom. That goes for everyone. If you ever want to pop in, I'm pretty much here. Fridays in our classes are work days. They're lab days. I don't take attendance on Fridays. That being said, still pop in, say hello, get some critique, see what's going on. Treat it like my office hours. I'm there from 8 to 5 all day Friday. So if you do need to meet with me about anything, you can find me on there. What are we going to be doing? You guys are going to be taking a lot of video this semester. All of our stuff in here is video based. So you guys will be recording a lot of yourself, a lot of other people, a lot of your friends, a lot of your family, possibly your dog. Just a lot of video that you guys will be getting. You'll be capturing some audio, you'll be storyboarding, you'll be working on a full production short film by the end of the semester. It's going to be really fun. What do you need? I highly recommend a flash drive or external drive. Those of you in the Ouija board, you're at home. Your home computer's pretty stable, I would assume. If you're coming in here, definitely have a USB of some sort. Do not save to these computers. It is a scary thing to do. I would hate for you guys to lose your work, but I will show no sympathy. You'll also want a headset. It could be headphones. It could be a really nice Bose set. It's whatever you want. It could be like a $1 earbud. There's also free earbuds around the DMC if you ever need one. Just kind of look around there in little Ziploc baggies. You want those because since we will be working with video and audio, your next door neighbor sitting next to you here in the Digital Media Center does not want to hear the same 5 seconds of audio over and over and over and over and over again. They also probably don't want to hear what you're watching on Netflix or that Spotify song that you've been listening to repeat for 10 years. I know my wife hates it when I do it. So you definitely want a headset. Something I do recommend if you can afford it or you want one, definitely get a DSLR or SLR camera. You just want it to be able to shoot your own video, 1080p, 24 frames a second. But we do have some you can check out here. So if you don't have the money for one, don't worry about that. We have plenty for you to check out. That being said, if you have one at home, let me know and I'll take a look at it. Like you can send me like a picture of its settings or like its sell page or something, and I can approve it. There's very few instances that I've said no. So what's the purpose? I want you guys to get used to filming. I want you guys to get used to filming with a camera. I want it in your hands. I want you guys to be setting buttons, clicking dials. We're gonna be really looking at editing a lot. We're gonna be looking at delivery processes, different other video techniques and software. I'm not going to read all this verbatim. You guys can read this at your own discretion. But some of the topics that we're going to be talking about is basic Adobe Premiere stuff. We'll be starting that today. Other things that we'll be looking at are things like motion paths, masks and transitions, things that we've done in prior classes. We'll also be looking at lighting, audio, other things. You guys will be recreating a movie scene, shot by shot, word for word. It's going to be really fun. You guys will be doing some green screening, and then you guys will make a commercial and a short film. So you guys really will get to play with a lot of different film aspects. Those of you that have had me before know my attendance policy. You get 2-ish unexcused absences a semester. After 6, you fail the course, but you'll also fail if you just don't turn in stuff. Normally, if you stop showing up, you stop turning in stuff. Thus the fail. I do have 2 types of excused absences. The first is, ahead of time, there's a good reason for it. You're having a mental health day, you're sick, do not get me sick. Do not come in here if you even think you might be sick. Those of you at home, you just have to tell me beforehand. You're home. Or you have an emergency that prevents you from coming to class. Someone's hurt, you've had to go to the hospital, there's a flat, you get pulled over, that sort of thing. And those just let me know as soon as you're able. But that being said, if you just talk to me beforehand, communicate, everything will be okay. Your remote options, obviously, those of you in the Ouija board are at home. You can definitely sit in on class. If for some reason you can't sit in, let me know beforehand. I will be uploading all the videos the day of the class. So there is no reason for you not to be turning in homework if you do miss as well. So our projects, they're 70% of your grade. Your exercises are 30. We have more projects in here than we have exercises, but that being said, a lot of your work time in here is lab days. You have to go outside to shoot video, thus the work days. That being said, I don't accept late work. You must turn things in on the day it's due, otherwise you start suffering from point deductions. But that being said, if you turn something in on day 1 and you don't like it, you want to redo it, you want to scrap it, you've already gotten a grade, you didn't like your grade, I do let you revise till the end of the semester. Don't use that as a crutch. You will still have to work on your footage, turn stuff in, and get things looking all nice. Here is my grade scale. It's pretty standard. Some ideas for how I grade. I also have rubrics, which are up on D2L for you guys to look at. You can get a very good idea of what I'm looking for with those. But this is kind of a fun way to think about it. If you get an A, instantaneously, I'll never wash my eyes again. It was too beautiful. You did such a good job. Pixar would hire you. DreamWorks would hire you. Industrial Light and Magic would hire you. Right off the bat, it's beautiful, and the heavens have parted for your work. A B, you should be proud of it. You've done everything. There's some minor things that are wrong with it, but overall, it looks really nice. C is you met everything that I asked for. You didn't put in the extra legwork to get that B, but you did check all the boxes. A D, it's below average. It needs more work, more time, more effort. And an F, pretty much in my class, you just didn't turn it in. Or you just didn't meet any of the criteria, or you did your own thing and it didn't meet the brief. And then critique, we will do full critiques in class. I do expect to hear your beautiful voices when we do these. I'll start it off. Sometimes you guys will start it off sometimes, but we want to help each other get better. We want to help each other succeed in making the short films and getting our video work to look the best. I'm not going to stress this one. Don't cheat. Don't do it. I'll catch you. And then I'll have to file a whole bunch of paperwork because I've done it before. Don't do it. It's not fun. I don't want to get you guys in trouble. You don't want to get me in trouble. Don't do it. And then class conduct, we're casual in here. Chat with me. If you have problems, if you have questions, don't be scared to ask. I like answering questions. It is my favorite part of this job. But that being said, like, don't check your email. Don't be on your phone. That being said, I will get a spam call on this cell phone at least once during the semester. In which case, depending on the day, if it's a lab day or not, hilarity may or may not ensue. Don't smoke in here. Those of you at home, do what you want to do at your house. Don't eat in here. Those of you at home, it's your house. I can't tell you what to do. But, you know, be paying attention in class. And then if you are coming in here, make sure you're using the space for educational stuff. Don't be playing video games or anything like that. Also, if you've got a special accommodation, just let me know. Disability services have been sending me emails with stuff, but if I haven't gotten yours yet, or you worry that I haven't gotten yours yet, just come talk to me. You can send me a message, you can send me an email. Just kind of let me know. That way, if there is something I can do to help you learn a little better, I can incorporate that for you. Wear a mask if you come in here, obviously, pandemic. And then just our standard digital media rules. These are pretty much for everyone. I've said a couple of them already. Don't drink in here, don't eat in here. If you have a twist top drink, I can sometimes overlook that one. You know, the labs themselves are for digital media students. Those of you who had me have probably met my wife. She gets in here. You have not met her. She sneaks in here. I don't know how she gets in here, and then she uses my login to play on the computers. So just be aware. Since we are on Zoom for most of you guys, stay muted unless you're talking. You guys are really great at that already. But I like hearing your voices, so definitely chime in when we have discussions. And other than that, you know, just be nice to each other. Don't be disruptive or yelling at people. Don't do anything bad. I don't think anyone in this class will do that. So let us move on. Under content here, I do give you all of my notes. These are only part of my notes. They didn't all transfer, so I have to put the rest of them on here for you. So be aware, this will change a bit. But these are the notes that I personally use to teach you guys, to show you guys stuff. Excuse me. So just be aware, if you do get lost or you're more of a visual, like reader type learner, they are on here for you. I'll put all of our class recorded videos right there. There'll be a nice little YouTube link. You can go and take it to my YouTube. I don't do anything other than post stuff like this on here. So if you are interested just to see what other classes have been like or previous classes that this class has done, you can go on there and look at stuff there. I do have some interesting videos here. These are just some really cool editing things that I found over the years or have used in short films that I just think are neat. We don't have time to really go over all of them in class, but they're cool. And if you're interested in seeing one of them, we can maybe possibly fit it in one a day sometime in the semester. And then we have some in-class files here. So what we'll do is go ahead and download that double identity files right there. We're going to be playing with that a little bit today and in the coming days. So go ahead and give that a good old click and get those downloaded for you here in class. Those are on the server, so it's a little easier for you. And we will go ahead and open up Premiere and we'll start playing around with some of those things that are in there. Hello, Colton. It's good to see you. So for you in here, This is where you can find the double identity files in here. So you either want to get it from the server, for those of you at home, or it's here on the server. Oh no, Colton, we're on the first floor. We're the first floor big room. It's a bit weird, I know. And I can get you caught up at the end of class on what you missed, so you're good. And then once all of you have that stuff copied over, downloaded, extracted, and all that fun stuff, just give me a good old thumbs up in the chat or in your, yeah, like what Reagan did, the little thumbs up icon thingy. You can just give me a physical thumbs up or like a I'm already, whichever you like. I'm also terrible at names, but after like a couple days, I'll get it. I'll remember. I'll remember your name. You're the only stranger in this class, which you would think would help, but it doesn't. I'm just absolutely god awful with names. But I'll remember in like 2 weeks. It'll be great. Perfect. How's everybody else doing? Perfect, perfect, Sandra. Thank you. Thank you, Cedric. I already saw Reagan's thumbs up, so she's good. Is there anyone else still copying theirs over? Alrighty. I'm gonna go ahead and open up Premiere. Is there anyone that doesn't have Adobe stuff that's at home in the Ouija board? Okay, I'm gonna assume everyone has Premiere by the silence emanating from that camera over there. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and create a new project. When we're working in Premiere, specifically for this class, and pretty much every other time, there's a couple of things you do want to change. I tell Creative Cloud to be quiet. First is the name, but you also want to make sure you're putting it somewhere that it's easy to find for you. It does want to put it in this kind of default Premiere Pro Adobe folder, but I'm just going to put mine in an actual new folder here in my documents. And then we want to make sure we give it a name. But other things that we really want to look at is this capture format. We do want to make sure we change that to HDV. This is just the format type, so high def video is kind of how I remember it, and we want that nice higher quality there. If for some reason your Premiere is not running quite well, you can come over here to your scratch disk and see where it's sending the path. If for some reason your size over here is super small, so on this computer, mine's actually really quite large, so I'm not too terribly worried about it. Putting it somewhere else, like a temp folder, will definitely help keep your Premiere from running slow. So I'm just gonna hit OK. I'm gonna let it think, do its thing. So this is Premiere. All of you should have at least seen it once, I would hope. There's a couple of different things in here that we want to take a look at today. First thing is up here, we have our learning tab. This is the one that automatically puts us in. Yes, you guys are learning, but the learning tab is just taking up space. It's this little thing right here. I do recommend looking through there. They do have some really neat stuff kind of inside of these tutorials they have here, but I'm just going to go ahead and click on editing, because to me, the editing tab is just the learning tab, but without the extra stuff. And it's nice and clean and sleek. So what we want to do is come up here and go File and New and make a new sequence. So when we hit that, what this pretty much is asking is like, what type of footage are we going to be importing? What's its size? What's its frame rate? That sort of thing. And since we know we want some nice high quality video, we're just going to click on this HDV here. And we're going to do this HDV 1080 by 24 frames a second. Now, when we import our double identity stuff into here, it will ask us to change, and we will go ahead and change it because it is a different sequence type. But for normally when you guys are making your own short films and things, this is the format that you want to use. That being said, there's also a lot larger res 4K, 5K stuff in here. So if you do have, for some reason, a 5 or 4K camera, and you would like to have your video still be at its nice 4 or 5K, it is on here. So we're going to do that HDV 1080 right there. What? Stop this. Oh, stop. That's fine. All right. So now, under File, this is pretty standard. You can save, import, export. I'm going to go ahead and import some of our footage. So we can go File, Import. We can also right-click in this little project box here, right-click and import. Or for the ultra lazy, like myself, you can come over here to your little unzipped file, click one of your videos, and drag it down and drop it. So there's 3 different ways to import, depending on your comfort level. So just drag and drop just one of those. You can just random roulette it for right now. And pop that on in. All right. So now we have a clip, we have our sequence, and if we come over here to File, that's pretty much all we'll be using this for, except for exporting, which we'll go over later today. But we can go over here to Edit. This is really nice. You can see where your labels are. Ooh, Creative Cloud, hello. You can see where all your labels based off color are. You can remove things that aren't being used, consolidate things. But you can also come over here to Preferences and change your preferences. And we definitely want to take a look at this. So I'm going to go ahead and do Preferences and General. Which window is it going to pop up? Okay. So depending on if you're at home or in here, some of your settings might be a little different. Also, depending on what size or what type of computer you have, does it run really slow? Is it like a super beast machine? Specifically for you at home, there are some things you can turn off and on to make it run a little bit better. So the general tab is pretty easy. It's just some general things like show the home screen or the most recent project, that sort of thing. If we go down to appearance, we can change if we want a darker theme or a lighter theme. Do you want your controls to be darker or lighter? So you can see my buttons here get brighter. And then do you want the focus of the outside to be brighter or darker? So the audio, this is just how things are playing back to you. A lot of this is pretty good at its default, so you won't really have to change that too much. But something you definitely want to be aware of is this next one, audio hardware. If at any point over your entire career of using a Premiere, if this is the only thing you learned from me, I will be happy. If you're using one Premiere on one computer and take it to another computer and your audio is no longer working, all that means is one computer has a different hardware than what the new computer has, or vice versa. All you have to do is come over here and double check that these are what's working. So you can see mine is this NP right here, and this is what matches right here. So if those don't match, you won't hear any sound. So if you do have issues with your sound not working or playing, just check your audio hardware. It should fix it quite easy. You don't want to be fumbling around and being like, what's wrong, checking different things. This is 9 times out of 10 the fix. Now, if your computer is a bit slower, you can turn off your autosave. It will help your computer speed up because it won't freeze every 15 minutes trying to save your project for you. Your capture, oh, excuse me, I have the hiccup, sorry. Your capture is pretty much just asking if it wants you to keep certain frames if they drop. This is pretty good at its standard default. Collaboration, are you sharing with someone? Can they update your project? That sort of thing. Your control surface, I don't know what this is. This is new. I've never seen this in my life. Your device control, this is just what devices have control inside of your Premiere. Your graphics, this is actually your text. Are you able to see European and East Asian fonts or South Asian, Middle Eastern fonts? Both, yes, no, that sort of thing. Your labels, this is the colors of your labels for your individual clips. So if you have multiple different clips or different types of clips and you're like, I want all of scene 1 to be pale blue, but I want all of scene 2 to be green, you can color code those so it's easier for you to figure out what is individual scenes. We'll go over those in just a moment, but this is where you can individually change the colors themselves. Your media, this is where all of the really interesting things about your Premiere are normally found. If you're having problems, turn off your accelerated encoding. It will require a restart of your Premiere, but what that pretty much says is it's trying to accelerate how it's going to encode as you're doing stuff. So it's just working extra processing for you. So if you are having issues with your computer at home, you can turn those off. Your Premiere will still work, you just won't have as much buffering. Your media cache, we do want to make sure that our media cache here is going to a temp folder. So you do want to hit browse, go down to your D drive and put that in your temp. And then anytime you do this, you just want to hit delete. So delete unused cache. And then you want to do the same thing here on your media database. I'm going to go back to my D drive, temp. And it's going to be like, would you like to move your cache or delete it? We want to delete it. Why keep stuff we can't use? And then from there, the rest should be good. This will also speed up your machine if you do this after each big project. And then your memory, this is just how much RAM is being reserved for other projects when Premiere is open. So you can see I have 6 gigs of RAM. I have 32 installed, so it's only going to save that 6 for other stuff. And then playback. If you're also noticing it's getting a little slow, you can turn off your Mercury transmit. It's just another thing that will kind of slow your computer down if it's an older machine. And then everything else in here should be pretty nice. Do you want to keep your preferences, your workspace layout? based off of your login. For those of you at home, no worries. For those of us here, that may or may not change each time we log in. Our timeline, this is just what our duration is. Do you want it to start at 30 frames per second, that sort of thing. And then how do you want it to trim? I like to leave this one alone. I notice that if I change it too much, sometimes weird things happen. Nothing major, but sometimes something might cut weird. Other than that, I'm going to hit OK. And then since we did change to our editing workspace, there are different types of workspaces depending on what you're going to be doing. So if you're just trying to put a whole bunch of clips into Premiere, Assembly is your best bet. Because what you can do is you can now take all of your stuff, minus the one we've already dragged in, and we have this big area in which to drag and drop, and we can drag those in. It has more space to go, and we can see them a bit better. Now, you can see how mine have these little video clips. If I lightly scrub across them, it plays my video clip. This is really nice and handy to see what's going on inside of your clip. The problem is on older machines, it can break your Premiere. So if you notice scrubbing on those breaks your Premiere, just change this back to list view. It's the same thing, it's just the names instead of the pictures, which is this. And then the freeform view is everything kind of combined. So I'm just going to leave mine like that. And then I'm going to go back to editing. If you were doing some color correction, effects, audio stuff, there are different ones for those. And it is nice to be able to switch between all of those depending on what you're doing. But I'm going to stay in editing. So if we come up here to sequence, this is all of our sequence stuff. If we need to change anything about our sequence setting, we can click on our sequence here to make this nice and blue and change pretty much everything about it, from the frame rate to its hertz, that sort of thing, its size. We can change everything. So if you do notice it's too long or too short, you can change that in there. Your markers, this is how you can keep track of certain things. So if I know on this clip right here, I'm going to zoom in a little bit with my zoomer button. If I know right here is where he flips his knife and does the knifey thing, if I want to be like, I know that right there is where I wanted to do like a zoom in, I could make a marker with either this button right here, M on the keyboard, or come up here and mark, add a marker. I can then double click on that little tiny little bar and make a note. So I can be like, I want it to be called knife. Comment, he flips knife. You can also change the color. And then do you want it to be a chapter, segment, comment? For this one, just a comment, and I can hit OK. And then when I hover over that, it says knife, he flips knife. It's a good way to kind of keep track of how things in a scene are developing inside of your clips without having to like keep an actual physical notebook. So if I'm like, maybe like here, I wanted another marker, M on the keyboard, double click it, I'll make it blue. Maybe I want it to be like change scene. Here, it'd be like change to lady. I now know that this blue marker here means I'm changing the scene. This one means he's doing something. Blue means change something. You can make it so that you can have the color that you want to be interred for each thing, what you want it to be. So if I'm like, all right, change it to the lady. It's now been changed to the lady. It can help you build your scenes a little easier and a little faster and a little rougher so that you can then go back and start editing things down. Now you can also clip footage. So let's say this guy here, I'm going to mute him though. So I'm going to hit this little M button to mute track. So that now you guys don't hear that nasty scrubbing noise. Let's say I want to keep just from here to here. Maybe this is all the footage right here that I really want to work with for right now. We can mark in or clip part of the footage. So I'm going to hit I for in. Come over here to 12 and O for out. So this is just a little section that I'm currently viewing right here. Now you can still view the rest, but this is just a really nice way to kind of keep track of where you're working in your footage and kind of keep that clip where you can see it. You can also come up here to markers and clear in and out. It's Control-Shift-X. It's just a weird one, so it's easier for me to just go up there and show you. All of the marker ones have really weird buttons. To remove your actual markers, so like these little dudes that I have here, is Control-Alt-Shift-M. It's just a mouthful. But it is there, and it does come in handy to know Control-Alt-Shift-M to get rid of stuff. So there you go. So if I select one of my markers here, change that. So now it's red. We can also view all our markers over here by clicking on, so if we have the individual thing or a clip selected, nothing will be here, but if we do have our timeline selected down in here, we'll have our individual markers that we can click on, interact with, change, edit as needed. It's nice. Other things that we can look at, up here we have our effects controls. So if I click on this clip right here, we can change how it moves based off the position. We can change its scale. We can also change its opacity right here to fade it in or out, make it darker or lighter. We can also change its anchor point. Its anchor point, if I click it, is this little blue kind of X marks the spot plus sign in here. So it's where is that situated? So if we were to move that, that's where it kind of shifts from. You can also rotate things, create shenanigans, all that fun stuff. Now we also have all of our tools. They're all pretty standard. There's only one that I fight with, and you'll see why in a second. So we have our standard selection tool. This is V on the keyboard, just like in all of Adobe stuff. V is the standard move select tool that you have. Come on, or not. We have our edit tools here. So our track select and backward. So pretty much from this point backward, things will move. And opposite, track forward, things from here forward will move. This is really nice if you just need to make a little bit of space between two, but you don't want to move everything before it or behind it. We then have our ripple tools or our other edit tools. So ripple edit will ripple everything behind it. Not going to work because I only have 2 clips. Let me do this. So if I have my ripple edit tool, I can click here and it'll show you both clips and where they're interacting. The rolling edit and the rate stretch kind of work in the same way. They move, you have to have them directly next to each other for them to see what they're doing. Then we have our slip tool. It allows you to move things in between each other, similar to the other edit tools. We have our pin. This is our nice pin tool. We can make shapes or masks. We have our hand tool. This just allows us to move in here. Of course, I'm fully zoomed in, so it's not going to really do anything. But it does allow you. Yes, Alex, Alec, I am recording. Yes, and it should be recording my current screen. Is my screen share not working? Oh goodness, I am a terrible person. There you go. Y'all gotta yell at me when I do that. But yes, it is recording. So I will be posting this. No problem. I feel terrible. I thought it was going. It's not. Zoom is still a tricky beast. Alrighty. So just to recap for the tools for those of you in the Ouija board. Here's your selection tool, lets you click and drag things. Here's your track select, so you can click on one and it'll shift. You can click on the other and they'll both shift. The opposite tool, which is inside of here, you click and drag, is in there. We have our ripple edits, which must have them side by side with each other. We have our slip tools, which works in the same way. It just does something slightly different. We have our pen tool to make masks or shapes. We have our hand tool. There's also a zoom tool. And we have our text, so we can click here. Okay. Or you can click on here and do a vertical type. And then we come to the one that I like to throw hands with, which is the razor tool. It used to be called the cut tool, which would make sense because its shortcut is C, right? Because it cuts footage. But razor tool works, I guess. Me and the razor tool throw hands. So you'll hear me call it the cut tool quite often because it cuts footage into parts. All you have to do is click on it. So if I wanted to go from here to here, I can go there quite easily, switch back to my selection tool, delete the parts I don't need, and easily change my scene. Other cool things that we can do in here is our audio clip here. So if I turn my audio back on, you can kind of hear it. She has no audio, but he does. If we want to make his audio louder, we can come in here and raise the decibels of his audio. But another thing we can do is raise or lower his audio gain. So if we right click on our clip here and go to audio gain, I always try to adjust them by the decibels of 2 or 3. So if I say right now my decibels are pretty low, if I do add 2, you can see over here when I kind of scrub through, it's a little higher. You can also do the opposite, audio gain, -2. And you'll see they don't get as high over here. So if you have some footage that you've recorded and it's like super duper loud on one clip, but super duper quiet on the other, you do want to try to equalize those audios to make them as nice as possible. So you will have to change and play with the audio gain and the levels over here to get them to be a little bit closer to what you need them to be. Now I'm going to switch over here. I'm going to remove this empty space. You can do that by clicking on the empty space itself and hitting the delete key. Or you can select both with the V key selected and shift them around. If you ever need to turn your snap off, so let's say you're like, I really want to move this clip away, but I don't want it to snap. Like you can see how it's kind of like magnetizing to that clip. If you ever need to turn that off, it's this little magnet right here. So if I'm like, yeah, I want it to go a little bit in. I just want to like hover it over. Oh my goodness. Hover it over just a little bit, but I don't want it to snap to anything. Just turning that magnet off will fix that. But something else we can do in here is, let's say we needed to add a little bit of some type of correction. You can right click in this little empty space and do a new item. And you can add another sequence, a shortcut, an offline file. So if you're like, I know I want to have something here, but I don't have anything right now, you can just make an offline file, kind of like a placeholder. You can do an adjustment layer. So this works kind of like how Photoshop does. It's a layer that's empty that you can put above your footage and put a whole bunch of color correction, green screen things on there, or even just something you want to kind of test out filter-wise over top. And then if you don't like it, you can just delete that layer and you don't have to worry about the footage itself having anything on it. You can also make a black video. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And how the black video works is it's just that. It's just a big bar of black video. It's absolutely empty. So what we can do with these black videos is we can create a little transition of a fade to black. You can also do this with stop. Well, yes. You can also do the same thing I'm doing right now with this new item and a color mat. So if you wanted like a white or a blue or a green or a purple color, you can do that with that just the same way. So you can click that, tell it okay, and then pick your color. So I'll do like a weird green for funsies. Green. Put this here. So let's say from here to here, I want to have like this weird sequence where my green fades in or fades out. So we can click on that green video, come over to our effects control, and in this opacity here, we can keyframe it to fade in and out. So I know right here at the very center where these connect is where I want my opacity to be fully green. Black, blue, white, red, whatever color you've selected. So I'm going to keyframe that right there. I am going to turn my magnet back on. It's a little easier. And I'm going to go to the end of my footage, take that down to 0. And then the same in the opposite side, take that down to 0. So when I hit play here, it flashes green. Now we can also change this. Say maybe I want it to be more green at the beginning. Maybe I need it to be longer. Take these all the way out. And you can create transitions. And you can layer them and do all sorts of other things. We'll look at those a lot more next class. But it is something fun that you can do to kind of play around with making your own transitions. There are other things in here that we can create. You can also go File, New, and all of those objects are right here as well. You can add titles, you can insert a Photoshop file, and you can do all other sorts of things in here. Does anyone have any questions? Specifically those of you in the Ouija board that I went over that you guys couldn't see where I wasn't sharing properly? Awesome. Perfect, perfect. And then, like I said, I will be putting this video up on D2L, so you guys can go back over it if you want to. So if there's no questions, that's all we have for today. I just kind of wanted to get you in here playing around with the buttons. There's no homework, so you don't have to worry about anything like that. We will be starting some homework next class. But for right now, just kind of play around with Premiere, get kind of used to it, play with these double identity files. Just kind of make something fun. You don't have to turn anything in, so if you don't do it, I'm not going to know. But definitely be getting used to some of the buttons in here. All right. So there is no class on Friday. No, not in this class. Friday will be a lab day. So if you do have questions about anything, if you're worried about finding a camera or anything like that, you can meet with me on Friday. I'll still be in my Zoom, but I won't be taking attendance. Monday is when we'll be coming back in here to do some stuff. Yeah, you're perfectly fine. You have to fill out a form once, but I think once you've done it once, you're okay. It's pretty much just like, where do you live? Like, if something were to happen, like, how can we get in contact with you? Sell your firstborn, that sort of thing. Yeah, but I don't know if anyone's working in it yet over there, but I'll find out. Yeah, it's nothing too major. They take your e-number, your address, that's about it. Yeah, you don't have to like sign in blood or anything. Not anymore. They got rid of that a couple years ago. But no, so you guys are good to go. Feel free to pop on out. I'm going to go ahead and end the recording. So goodbye, Ouija board recording.